Regarding Men, Episode 37. Destroy a Man Now.
Well, hello there for another stimulating discussion, we hope, regarding men. I think I've lost track of what episode this is, but we'll figure it out.
We'll fill in the blank later.
And I'm
37.
Janice Fiamingo. I'm the author of the Fiamingo File and of No Joke Janice. I'm here with the incorrigible Paul Elam.
That's true.
And author of An Ear for Men and A Voice for Men, and with the invincible Tom Golden, author of Men Are Good.
Men are good.
And we're discussing today a phenomenon, a book on the internet, available at Amazon until some time ago. It's now been taken down. And it is called How to Destroy a Man Now, which the acronym is DAM, Destroy a Man Now, a handbook. It purports to be a step-by-step handbook of how women can destroy the patriarchy one man at a time by taking them out through allegation. And this book goes through how this can be done using the internet. It talks about websites where you can post allegations against men. It actually gives examples of the kinds of things one should say in one's allegation. It outlines the relationship between the allegation, how it is then spread and given credibility by the media, why the media are interested in doing this, because it makes money for them. It brings eyeballs to sites and viewers to programs. And it makes clear then the relationship between the accuser, the media, and authority figures, whether those authority figures are in universities, whether they are employers in various companies and businesses, or whether they are actually law enforcement agents. And it talks about how the media's willing replication of these allegations, how that can go on under cover of not verifying the information, but simply reporting what has been alleged, which then produces a kind of chain effect whereby more accusers come forward. The accusation is repeated over and over again. It's repeated in such a way that it gains credibility. Eventually, most people come to believe that there must be some truth or even total truth to the allegations. And then ultimately, various authority figures feel compelled, whether by emotional affiliation or simply by a sense that in the case of an employer, that they have a duty to act. They do actually have a legal duty to take steps to prevent harassment or exploitation or abuse in the workplace. So eventually authorities act to fire the man from his job, or to expel him from school, or certainly to make sure that he's never promoted, never put in a position of power, and in various ways disgraced, disempowered, and marginalized in public life, and how this is often permanent. It's a really compelling, horrific read, because it proves how very, very easy it is to do this with a couple hours of work. You don't have to be a great writer. You don't have to be particularly intelligent or knowledgeable or cultured or anything. And you certainly don't have to be a powerful woman, but you can do it by utilizing these websites. And as long as you're willing to stick to your victim story, well, you can do it anonymously. Of course, that's the other point that is made. You don't actually have to come forward and reveal who you are. There are all sorts of ways to ensure that your identity is never known. So you can make these allegations with no fear of any pushback or any kind of negative publicity being associated with your name. So that's what it is. About a 50-page book. Very well written, vividly illustrated with specific anecdotes and very specific instructions about how the whole process unfolds. It's received a lot of negative reviews on Amazon because it is so horrifying in its revelation. But we believe that it was written not as a feminist primer, not by a feminist, but from somebody on our side wanting to expose the reality of how our justice system has been completely corrupted, how our whole society rather really has been completely corrupted by our credulity, our willingness to believe allegations without one iota of evidence, and our more than willingness to just allow men's lives to be destroyed. We just learned that the book is now no longer available. We don't know why exactly, but we feel that that's really too bad, because it's a book that we think every man should read. So guys, what do you think about that?
Indeed, every man should read it. And it's I've been studying false accusation for a while, and this book taught me some things, that I really had never kind of put together. I mean, it also was redundant in the sense that I knew some of it, but daggone, this was a well put together book and a thoughtful book. And Angela, who was the Angela C., if you're out there and you're an MRA, contact us on the Regarding Men contact page and let us know who you are, and we'll go from there. But geez,
Especially if your name is Angelo.
I found the book
quite possible.
very, very helpful. And I see it as a handbook for relational aggression, because really the book is taking relational aggression and putting it into practice so people can see exactly what it is. And it's just, it's disheartening to read. It's sad because you look at it, you go, oh no, that's exactly how it's done. The thing that got me was the whole, the interplay of the three parts. The author took three parts. First part was the allegation itself, which he stressed needs no evidence. You don't need evidence, just make an allegation. And the second part was the media, Mary Media, I think he called it.
Mm-hmm.
The media who comes in and then repeats the allegation. And then the media repeats that first media's allegation. And so it becomes like a storm of allegations. And everyone goes, wow, I hear this all over the place. This must be true. Mm-hmm. And then it's pushed to the next step, which is the authority figure, the authorities, and whether it's the police or academies or legislators or whoever, and then how those three interact. I mean, the book is really fascinating, and it's just really sad that the daggone thing can't be read anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we do have a PDF copy of it that might turn up in a link on A Voice for Men. You might even below this discussion, because at this point it's been taking off, and if the author contacts me at A Voice for Men and requests that I do not distribute this book via PDF, of course I'll remove it. But in the meantime, I'm comfortable with go ahead and putting it up. Janice was saying earlier that you didn't have to have great intelligence to do this, that you didn't have to have polish or culture or really much of anything going for you. And the thing to add to that is that you don't have to be truthful.
Exactly.
All you have to be is a woman accusing a man. And that's why, for me, this book stands out as just the perfect description of female power, of just how much power these so-called powerless women in our society have to absolutely disrupt and destroy somebody's life with no truth behind them, with no evidence behind them, not even their name behind them.
Right.
I mean, how much more powerful can a class of people get than to be able to do this? And it's out there right in public view and wide open, yet we still live in a culture that sees women as victims and men as perpetrators, men as powerful, women as powerless, guys as having the game rigged in their favor. Mm-hmm. And of course, every once in a while we pluck a news story out of the stream of news stories out there about a guy killing himself because he was falsely accused. Yep. And of course, nothing happening to the accuser. Yes. That's why I think I assume with all the low ratings Now, I know that one person that happened to be an MRA went on a personal campaign of sorts to try to undermine this book and get it taken down. But Amazon doesn't remove books on one person's say-so. I am guessing by all the low ratings that there were multiple complaints. And I guess I understand the nature of the complaints, but just from my personal perspective, I want to say, folks, don't do that. We're not book burners in the men's movement. We're not censors. We believe in allowing free speech, allowing people to have their say, and it's always instructive. Yep. I mean, no matter how, Big Red, whoever, no matter how idiotic or virulent they are, if we let them talk, they make our case for us.
Exactly.
And I wish there hadn't have been so many complaints. I wish that Amazon would reconsider and put the book back up.
Me too.
Yeah, I agree.
I really wonder, because Tom, you had said this before, I think when we were talking about it briefly before, that it's possible, I suppose, that the book was taken down because of complaints by men. I know that I've been contacted by a number of men who are very angry. They didn't even read the whole book. They figured this is a sincere handbook outlining the way that men can be destroyed, and it's terrible, and it shouldn't be allowed to exist. But I wonder, because Amazon is not exactly super worried about men. Exactly. Especially men protesting, the violations of their rights and the smearing of their reputations. So it made me wonder whether maybe really it was taken down by some feminist organizations complaining about it. I really wonder, saying that this smears the Me Too movement.
Yes.
That any person really reading the whole book through can't help but see that it's an expose of Me Too. It's making the point that Me Too is all about power. Me Too is about using women's power in a gynocentric society and using that to destroy innocent men. The book does make the case that you don't have to have any evidence. That this is what women have always done. And now they're able to do it on steroids, so to speak. And so I wonder whether maybe that's what, and I also found it interesting that the book was never reviewed, as far as I can tell, by any feminist publication, which I would think they would if they assumed it was a real book written by a feminist, empowering women to give voice to their victimization and to accuse those abusers and exploiters out there. As far as I could tell, it was only discussed on PJ Media, which is a kind of right-leaning, sort of centrist kind of news site, by our friend Dr. Helen Smith, maybe when it first came out, and she wasn't sure whether it was satire or not. She, like us, was appalled by it because it shows how easy it is to get away with this kind of campaign. And she actually recommended it not be bought because I think she wasn't sure, whether it was real or not. She didn't like the idea of the person who would write such a thing making a huge profit off it. But anyway, so I really wonder whether maybe women got wind of it, feminists got wind of it and said, whoa, this shows our hand far too clearly.
Exactly.
And it also fits in pretty well with the idea that in the future, if they want to take down books on men's issues in similar fashion, they can point back and say, look, we did the same thing to this book.
Right.
Here's our example of our balance.
Yeah. Right.
Taking down a piece of satire or whatever you want to classify this as. And I did read through it, and there's no way I can believe that this was written seriously by a woman advising other women how to destroy men. This is somebody who is acknowledging the amorality that runs right through the center of movements like Me Too.
Well said.
And how they're furthered based on lies and on the sheer power of accusation,
Yes.
which again sort of disappoints me. Of all the people who were critical of it on Amazon did not seem to get that. They seem to take it literally.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I liked about this book too was the middle part where he says, if you don't believe this, here's a list of names.
Yeah.
And he listed like 40 men with not just their names, but with a little description of what had happened to them. And I would keep reading and reading and going, holy shit, that's right. Holy shit, that's right. Over and over again.
Yeah.
It's very convincing. You go, oh man, because there's no evidence for any of this. None of it. And they're all fired or thrown out or whatever. And he made another point, or she made another point.
Like he.
Yeah, I'll go with that. He made another really important point, and that was not only are they destroying the man and his job and his life, they're destroying his health. Because men who this happens to, their health just deteriorates. So it literally is how to destroy a man. Oh, man.
Yeah, and as the handbook also says at the end, this is also about destroying men in general, because there's one point in the conclusion, I think, where the author says that this is so successful that men are now becoming synonymous with rapists, harassers, abusers, exploiters. So the entire male sex is being smeared by these kinds of allegations. And I mean, it's
pointing to patriarchy at the very end too, saying this is how we destroy patriarchy. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. How obvious that was.
Yeah, he said at the beginning too, you know, girls, this is the way you can destroy patriarchy, by your strength of communication. And I was thinking, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing that caught my eye with this was that it really does kind of encapsulate all the different feminist things they've done. Think about domestic violence. Same freaking thing. They put out allegations over and over and over again that men were the problem and women were the victims. The media ate it up, you know, just ate it up until, and then they go to court, and who do they get? They get these experts to come in, the authority to say, well, look at this newspaper and this article and blah, 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 blah. And it's the same thing. It's the exact same pattern. I think you can look at almost everything the feminists have done and you see the same pattern.
Wage gap, everything.
Education.
They're so successful at it that you hear all these, I think we've referred to them in the past as zombie talking points.
Yes.
And these zombies don't even die with a headshot. They live on. But they're so successful at it that you hear these zombie talking points echoed all over Fox News.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like
it's every place.
Everybody's trying to out-feminist each other.
And that was a good point he made too, and that was that the media makes money on these. Because this sells papers and it sells ads on TV. People want this stuff. If it bleeds, it leads. They want this stuff. They want to hear about the gossip and the allegations and the rapes and the thises and the that's. So it's like a little team, you know? It's a team, the people who make the allegation and the media team that comes in and froths things up. It's disgusting.
And it's why they mock men like Mike Pence for the standards that he sets in his life, because they would rather keep men embarrassed or ashamed out of protecting themselves. So when people start talking about, well, okay, I'm not going to be caught alone with women or without my wife there, or in a non-business setting, I'm just not going to be around them. There's all kinds of condemnation in the media of those guys, because that sort of philosophy, that sort of lifestyle cuts into media profits.
Yes.
It does. They'll never have a big scandal about Mike Pence sexually. It just won't happen.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
As much as they'll try.
They may try, but he's
won't stick. Yep.
Yeah. And I think the book is really excellent too, in the way that it, while talking about destroying patriarchy and pretending that it's offering advice, it makes it very clear that patriarchy, it contains the seeds of its own destruction. At least it contains the seeds of the destruction of men right within it. And we've talked about this in terms of our critiques of chivalry and gynocentrism and male disposability and everything else. This book talks about that there is right there at the center of patriarchy, the benevolent patriarchal authority figure who rides in to protect the damsels in distress. And the author, often says, patriarchy, no matter how much power we actually have now, patriarchy continues to regard us girls as damsels in distress. So we get to use the power that we have, and we get to pretend that we have no power all at the same time.
It's true.
And isn't it a nice little gig? And he, the author makes it very clear when he talks about what is needed, first of all, is a victim. Who is a victim? It's not a man. So this doesn't work in reverse. And he says, imagine a man walking into a police station and asking for a restraining order against a woman. What's going to be the reaction? Ha, ha, ha. Patriarchy laughs at men who complain about being abused, or men who have been victimized in some way by a woman, or by other men, indeed, and so that's his point too, that this is woman's power. It has been there from the beginning. It's something instinctively known by women, as the point you've made, Tom. This goes back to the playground. The book also mentions that this is how little girls, they don't even have to be trained into it. So anybody who's worried that this book is going to teach women how to do this, they already know how to do it. They know how to do it through relational aggression. This is all about gossip. This is all about accusing, using networks of communication. It's as old as civilization itself, and it has always worked. And now it's working in at a accelerated pace because of social media. But to pretend that this is something that is somehow, not right there in the structure of our society is to miss something really crucial about the kind of culture we've built here in the West.
Yeah.
And you see it in some of the comments to the book reviews there, say, oh, you're going to give women these terrible ideas. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You scream those terrible ideas at women from the time they're born and can understand language. We are broadcasting those terrible ideas as a matter of our culture. It's like, man, how naive do some of these guys think women are?
You don't need to scream them. Women get it already.
Yeah.
The research I'll never forget of these 1.5 to 2-year-olds, they put up a barrier between mom and the toddler, right? And the boys would all go up and shake the barrier and push it and hit it and kick it and whatever, trying to get to mom. The girls would lay down and cry. I mean, it says it right there, It says it right there.
Yeah.
But Tom, don't you know that boys and girls are the same? We all
all social conditioning.
All the same, Paul.
Yes, absolutely.
All the
I'm
same.
so shocked that you didn't know that.
Oh God.
Yeah. It reminds me of a talk that the Canadian Association for Equality hosted, where a father stood up and said that his son came home from school at age 5 or 6, saying that a girl had shouted at him on the playground, "I can hit you and you can't hit me back."
Yep.
They know it.
They know it, and they use it.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is women knowing that and using it too.
In accordance with this, what was said in this book, there's a lot of truth in there. This is whatever we want to call patriarchy, whatever system we think we've actually established about roles for men and women, that involves enabling this stuff.
Yes.
From the time they're born.
And protecting women and holding men accountable.
Self-defeating element. I mean, I don't want to call it patriarchy. Yeah. I would just say that the expectations and the system that we've wrapped around sex in this culture, it fosters the self-destruction of men.
Yes.
And for us to live by rules that hurt us.
And that's a part of hierarchy.
Yes.
I mean, hierarchy is supposed to destroy weak men and lift the strong ones up. And so this is just a part of that. It's culling of the male tribe.
But there is a glitch in the code, because what we see in this hierarchy is that men can elevate by destroying themselves.
Yes.
And by destroying other men.
That's
and
a good
by
point.
weakening the whole masculine side of this table completely,
Yes.
they can elevate themselves.
Yes.
And there is a glitch in the code. I think the book has it exactly right.
Yep.
An element
Yep.
of patriarchy, or whatever you want to call it, that's about a bullet to the foot.
Yep.
And
yeah, but is it a glitch, really? I mean, if you look at society in the most kind of biologically determinist way, and imagine that it's in women's interest to destroy a lot of men, and to have men destroy other men, so that there's only a few men left. Society can go on in that way. Yeah,
Yep.
The strongest ones. It's barbaric, but it has a kind of biological substratum of reality to it. And yeah, I mean, you know, maybe deep in our psychobiological programming on the part of both men and women, there is a kind of desire for men to be motivated by women to destroy other men.
Yes.
Yes.
That's hierarchy. There it is.
Yeah, it's pretty
sucks to be us.
It sucks to be us. Speaking of which, who gets the PUTA for this?
I say we give the PUTA to relational aggression. That should cover somewhere in the neighborhood of 4.5 billion women. I don't know if we've got that many PUTAs to hand out, but we just give the whole idea of relational aggression, which does not get near enough attention in our understanding of violence and aggression in the human species.
It's camouflaged.
Almost totally ignored.
It's camouflaged, man. People cannot see it.
And it's really the only way that this kind of thing that the book is talking about could even begin to be combated. Because I know there are wonderful books out there by, you know, like Vox Day had one about SJWs always lie. He starts in that book with somebody getting a call to the HR, you know, and he's been accused of something, and, you know, how do you respond? And then there's guys like John Davis who've written a number of books, you know, how to avoid false allegations of rape, giving kind of a handbook step by step. But they all, even Mike Pence, you know, they all avoid attempts to protect oneself. But ultimately, there is no way of protecting oneself against a false allegation, because you can be squeaky clean, but somebody can still allege that unbeknownst to anybody else in this one split second, while you were passing a woman in Waterloo Station, you know, in the British Underground.
Mark Pearson, you know, even as you were talking.
Yeah, you know, anybody can allege the most bizarre and outlandish thing. It might only have happened in 2 seconds. They can allege it, and you can be hauled before the police and have your life turned upside down for years. It doesn't matter how you lived your life. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it was caught on video showing that it could not have happened. So you know, there is no way. That's the sad reality. There is no way to protect yourself in this culture that tends to believe women and to want to destroy men. So the only way is to really raise awareness about relational aggression, so that we start to be a little more suspicious about it. But it's really hard because nobody will talk about it. As you say, it's denied and ignored.
It's crazy. How about the humanitarian?
We can help. I want to add one more thing to that, if you don't mind, Mr. Golden. We can help reduce risks for men. I mean, you can't eliminate risk. You're right. You could be passing some nut job on Waterloo Station, and next thing you know, the cops are kicking down your door at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh boy.
Which happened to Mark Pearson. Yeah. But by adopting sensible rules, and, you know, I live by them now. At 62 years old, I live by them in my life. I don't get alone with women I don't know for anything.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
Just doesn't happen.
Yep.
And I think that does help some.
I think it helps,
It doesn't put Teflon on you. But it's better than going willy-nilly into life assuming that everybody you meet has good intentions, and that the truth will prevail, which is men are suicidal with that stupid idea. Oh, I'm going to tell my side of the story and the world's going to understand. No, it's not. It's going to believe her.
Every time.
And she will make up the story that you chased her up an elderberry tree and raped her there at the very top thin branches. Yep. And something physically impossible, and the world will go, you bastard.
It's true. Sad but true.
So anyway, you were saying the humanitarian award.
Yeah, who gets that one?
I'd say that we give it to Alejandro.
I think so too. Yeah, let's give it to Angelo or whoever it happens to be
Whoever
Angela
actually wrote that
whoever
book.
actually wrote this book is
What if it's a
brilliant
feminist?
book. It's
Who
not.
really does want to destroy men?
It isn't. I'm 100%
Oh
sure.
my.
100% sure.
Yeah.
There's no way a feminist would ever write this book.
So, Angela, use the contact page on regardingmen.com. We will keep your identity secret between the 1, 2, 3, 4 of us, and let us know, because you did a nice book, man.
And
very
we
well
salute
done.
you. It is it is very well done.
Best expose on women's power and on gynocentrism I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. In 50
and very brief too.
Short
it's not
pages.
It's not a long read. It's quick and good. Well written.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Are we good?
That's it. Yeah.
1 humanitarian award and 4.5 billion putas.
Yeah.
That's a lot of putas, man. I don't know what we're gonna do with that.
Very sad.
We'll have to figure a way.
Okay.
All right. You all take care. We'll see you for the next one.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.